Thank you, Mr. President. The budget agreement that we just passed is an important step forward for our country and for our government. I know Chairman Patty Murray worked tremendously hard to get to a conference in the first place. And to reach this agreement with this House, I commend Chairman Murray for all of her work. The United States government has been lurching from crisis to manufactured crisis and using short-term stopgaps to fund the government. The threat of shutdown and the lack of certainty has hurt our economy and has eroded the American people's confidence in our ability to solve problems. It is our job to produce a budget and to figure out a way to work together and not shut the government down. That's what the people expect of responsible leaders in a divided government. This budget agreement is the way to move forward. It ends the reckless threats of government shutdown and lays a clear path to end sequestration. The sequester hit my home state of Hawaii very hard. The across-the-board arbitrary cuts from sequester have been devastating for our middle-class families and to our economy. I'd like to read a letter I received from a professor at the University of Hawaii at Manoa in September. And this professor wrote, "I was contacted today, as I often am, by a student wanting to join our graduate program in the Department of Geology and Geophysics. Unfortunately, I had to tell this student that funding for accepting new students is low right now, which may make it impossible for me to accept him as a graduate student despite his excellent qualifications." This exchange reminded me that one source of this problem is the budget cuts to NSF and other science funding agencies that are a result of sequestration. The current situation is having the following impacts, which are happening right now at research centers across the country, including the University of Hawaii system. Scientific workers are being laid off or are not being hired. Research groups are being forced to cut infrastructure that took decades to build. Some scientific discoveries that could help our society are not being made. And many bright young students are not being given opportunities to advance their scientific careers. I think this last point is the saddest result because it negatively impacts the hopes and dreams of many young people. Furthermore, these students are the future of our scientific workforce, people that will be leading us towards innovation and problem solving that's crucial for our country's future. This professor urged me and this Congress to do everything that we can to roll back the sequester. That's one of the many reasons why I supported the budget today. Sequestration caused federal workers to be furloughed or laid off throughout Hawaii. Sequestration hurt our national defense, United States competitiveness, and harmed education programs. Head Start in Hawaii had to cut children from its programs this year. This early education program is critical for a young child's success later in life. And some of these kids and parents don't have other options without Head Start. Without this budget agreement, there would have been an additional $20 billion cut to our defense programs hitting next month. Those defense cuts were going to disproportionately hurt my home state of Hawaii. Without this budget agreement, 25,000 federal civilian workers in Hawaii could be furloughed or laid off. Hawaii can't afford that. I voted for this budget to prevent those cuts. The bipartisan budget agreement finally provides relief from the sequester and a path forward to get our economy on the right track. And most importantly, the budget protects Social Security and Medicare benefits. Although this budget is the right choice for many reasons, we know it's not perfect. And I do believe we need to work together to improve parts of it. I find it unacceptable and inexplicable that the House of Representatives left town for the holidays without extending long-term unemployment benefits. And I know we're working on making it a priority as soon as we return in January. In addition, Senator Shaheen has introduced legislation which I am proud to support and co-sponsor to protect military retirees from the cost of living pay adjustment. The cost of living pay adjustment won't take effect until January of 2015, which means that we have time to fix this issue, but we must fix this issue. This legislation that I'm co-sponsoring with Senator Shaheen will fully pay for the change by closing a loophole that some companies are using to avoid paying United States taxes with offshore tax havens. This is a common sense fix that I believe that we can get bipartisan support for. We need a long-term budget, but not at the expense of our military retirees. And we can replace the money raised by closing this tax loophole that some companies are abusing. We have time to fix this issue, and we have to do so before 2015. But now is the time to move the budget forward, to protect jobs, and to give our country some economic certainty. Thank you, Mr. President. I yield the floor.